June 24, 2023, a turning point in Ukraine's defense strategy. Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky, renews his call for Western allies to provide Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets, emphasizing that the American-made fighters will significantly enhance Ukraine's defense capabilities. As Zelensky states, "And when we ask to give us the F-16 fighters, or the ATACMS, we're enhancing our common defense. Real defense. This is what is needed. Now is the time to provide all the weapons necessary for defense." Initially, Western nations capable of delivering F-16s hesitated, not out of unwillingness to support Ukraine, but due to concerns about potential escalation of the conflict, potentially drawing them into the battle. However, the situation has evolved. Mid-2024, a new chapter in Ukraine's defense. Fast forward to mid-2024, and F-16s are now on their way to Ukraine. Additionally, Zelensky has received permission from several countries to use their weapons to strike Russian territory, marking a significant shift. For the first time, Ukraine can engage in offensive operations beyond defending its own land. This development represents a major shift in the conflict, as F-16s will soon fly over Russia to target strategic positions used by Vladimir Putin and his forces to coordinate attacks on Ukraine. This move could risk escalating the conflict, potentially involving NATO more directly. The impact of F-16s on the Ukraine war. Before examining the implications of F-16s in the conflict, it's crucial to understand how Ukraine reached this point. The United States has played a pivotal role, providing weapons with the stipulation that they be used only for defense. This meant no incursions into Russian territory or strikes on strategic positions beyond Ukraine's borders. Ukraine adhered to these conditions, respecting the U.S.'s caution against escalation. In May 2024, Emma Ashford of the Stimson Center highlighted concerns about Ukraine using non-U.S. weapons for long-range strikes on Russian targets, such as oil refineries and factories. The use of U.S. weapons for such attacks was deemed potentially escalatory by the White House. Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine William Taylor emphasized that Ukraine should be able to defend itself, including striking back at attacks launched from behind Russia's borders. The debate on this issue has persisted for nearly 2 years, focusing recently on the Kharkiv region. Russia has been advancing north of Kharkiv, aiming to create a sanitary zone along the border inside Ukraine, supported by a significant military buildup and the use of glide bombs. These bombs, derived from Soviet Fab bombs, are powerful and can be launched from behind the border, striking Ukraine from a distance. Ukraine's inability to attack the launching planes and installations behind the Russian border necessitated permission to use its received weapons in Russian territory. Changing attitudes in the West. On May 27, 2024, the NATO Parliamentary Assembly concluded its spring session with a declaration urging Western allies to support Ukraine's right to defend itself by lifting some restrictions on the provided weapons, allowing strikes on legitimate targets in Russia. Major Ukraine allies, including Estonia, Poland, the Netherlands, France, the United Kingdom, and surprisingly, the United States, supported this declaration. This marked a significant policy shift, permitting Ukraine to use American-made weapons in Russia under specific conditions. Despite these conditions, the approval for sending F-16s to Ukraine preceded this decision. In August 2023, the U.S. allowed Denmark and the Netherlands to send their American-made fighters, initiating a coalition of 11 countries to train Ukraine's pilots on the jets. Donations began rolling in, with Denmark delivering 19 F-16s, the Netherlands adding 24, Norway promising 22, and Belgium contributing 30, totaling at least 95 jets. F-16 specifications and capabilities. The F-16 is a multi-role fighter with a range of around 500 miles in air-to-surface roles, exceptional maneuverability, and a high combat radius. It can carry 7,000 pounds of internal fuel, 12,000 pounds with external tanks, reach Mach 2 speeds, 1,500 mph, and has a flight ceiling of 50,000 feet. Its armaments include an M61A120mm multi-barrel cannon and missiles such as the AIM-9 Sidewinder and AIM-120, enhancing its combat capabilities. The F-16 offers significant upgrades over Ukraine's outdated Soviet-era aircraft, providing better attack options, including bombing Russian positions and supporting ground troops. Politically, using F-16s to strike military and symbolic targets in Russia could create pressure on Russian troops and impact their morale. Strategic and tactical advantages. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, having enough F-16s allows Ukraine to establish a fleet in being, gaining respect in aerial combat. However, the fleet needs to grow larger for a substantial impact on the ground war. Currently, Ukraine's fighter fleet, even with 80 additional F-16s, only reaches 152, compared to Russia's 809 fighter aircraft. Integrating F-16s into Ukraine's arsenal reduces its reliance on Soviet-era technology, providing access to Western supply chains and modern equipment. The F-16s offer Ukraine offensive options, enabling strikes on targets across the Kharkiv border, potentially establishing localized air superiority for counterattacks against Russian positions. Challenges and training. Deploying F-16s requires extensive training and ground support. Ukrainian pilots trained on Soviet-era jets need to adapt to the advanced systems of F-16s, with training typically taking 9 months and 90 flight hours. Ground crews are essential, with a typical package of 12 F-16s requiring 250 personnel for maintenance and operational support, totaling at least 1,500 for Ukraine's incoming jets. Maintenance, logistics, and runway conditions also pose challenges. Geopolitical implications. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened retaliation if F-16s are launched from third countries, indicating potential escalation. Germany's Defense Minister Boris Pistorius and General Carsten Brewer highlight the need for NATO to prepare for possible future Russian aggression, suggesting that Russia may not stop at Ukraine's borders. Conclusion. The arrival of F-16s in Ukraine represents a significant shift, potentially enabling Kyiv to counter Russian advances more effectively. However, it also risks escalating tensions between Russia and NATO. The situation remains fluid, with the future impact of F-16s on the Ukraine war and European security yet to be fully realized. Your thoughts? What do you think the arrival of F-16s in Ukraine means for the war and the future of Europe? Can Ukraine effectively use these jets to fight back against Russia, or are they too limited in number to make a significant impact? Share your thoughts in the comments and thank you for engaging with this discussion.